Welcome, welcome, welcome to a special Tuesday edition of Wanna-Bet. This is not legal, Bert.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
This is a much better looking, much younger looking.
Maybe the younger part. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Isaac Lucan is with him. So you're normally our producer behind the scenes.
Yes.
But Lee's not feeling too well, and he wants to feel really well for Thanksgiving and the holidays. So he kind of stayed home and out of our.
He's got a lot of football to watch on Thursday. That's a marathon session, so he's got to rest up, be ready to go, make some bets. We'll help him along today.
Yeah, we will. Did you do a lot of research prepping for this?
Just 5 minutes before.
Oh, awesome!
It was, yeah.
You shouldn't have said that. Yeah. You should have told them that you put in 5 minutes of research into this.
Hey, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Wait till you see what I found.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, we actually did pretty well last week, like really well last week. We only had a few losses to speak of. We went perfect on our college football bets.
Which I love.
Again.
I love college football. You guys just
I do
absolutely
too.
nailed it.
I mean, we only put in, like 1 or 2 bets. We only do like 1 game a week.
But that's okay.
But yeah, I mean,
that's okay.
the victories are key. You get a W, that's key.
Yeah.
Our buddy Will, who's across the pond, he came through again with the Premier League. And we did very well with the Patriots, of course. We've got a pretty big slate of games on Thanksgiving Day. There are 3 games on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. There's actually a game on Black Friday.
Yes.
Did you realize that? I didn't realize that until a little while ago. How cool is that?
They're just cramming in games every day. We're going to have like Tuesday night football here coming up soon.
Yeah.
We'll find a way.
So I really feel like this was a genius move, not only by the NFL, but I feel like spouses had a role in this as well. And hear me out.
I think so. Yeah,
hear me out.
I think you're right.
So like this game, the Friday game, which I don't think we're going to cover here,
no.
but the Friday game, I believe it's like a 3:30 or 4:30 kickoff.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's like mid-afternoon. So think about this. Like wives probably like approached Roger Goodell and the NFL and were like, hey, we got a great idea. Listen, you put a game on Friday afternoon on Black Friday, all right? And I guarantee you, I can convince my husband to stay home on that couch and watch the game.
Yes.
And he'll do anything to achieve that, including giving us the credit card.
It's brilliant.
Isn't it? I really feel like this is like some sort of scheme between the NFL and spouses across the land.
You might be onto something there. You might have sleuthed it out.
So let's see. We're going to cover, it's a kind of a limited wanna-bet show. Because of the Thanksgiving week. We're going to do the Thanksgiving games, and we'll also do the Patriots game.
But the Thanksgiving games have a lot of consequences.
Oh, there's huge implications as we go through these. So the first one is the divisional matchup between the Lions and the Packers. Right now, the Lions are a slight favorite. This line opened up at -3 for Detroit, and now it's gone down to 2.5. So there's some money coming in on the Packers. The over-under is 48.5, which is a pretty high number. So it looks like Vegas is thinking there'll be some points in this one. Shockingly, Isaac.
All right, let's hear it.
One of these 2 teams is not leading the NFC North.
Isn't it wild?
It's crazy. Yeah. Like, who would? If you told me back in July or August, prior to the season, that the Chicago Bears basically on December 1st would be winning the NFC North, I'd say you're crazy.
You might be able to retire.
Oh my gosh, right?
If we had known, cashed in.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that future bet.
We'll circle back to next year. We'll try that.
We really should. We really should. But they're not. They're a little bit back of the Chicago Bears, which this might be the strongest division in all of football when you look at it as a whole. I mean, the NFC West is pretty good too with the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
But the Cardinals are
the Cardinals
drop
stink.
off.
You're right. And the Minnesota Vikings are actually solid.
They're okay.
I mean, their
quarterback.
McCarthy is a big issue for sure. Let's see. I do think, though, even though that the Bears are leading the NFC North, I think that both of these teams, the Packers or the Lions, are better than the Bears.
Yeah.
So one of these 2 teams, I think, will end up winning the NFC North. So this is a monster game, as you mentioned. Both of these teams, they obviously have really good running games. You've got the 2-headed monster of Gibbs and Montgomery with the Lions.
It's so fun to watch.
Yep.
It's like one of them is going to have a big game, and usually it's Gibbs, but sometimes Montgomery surprises you too.
I know. You can't sleep on Montgomery most of the time. I wish I had a piece of this backfield in fantasy football land, but I have basically 3 or 4 teams, and I don't have any pieces of it, unfortunately. Brandon Jacobs on the other side for Green Bay is their monster, and he's a touchdown machine. I mean, that's almost a cheat code for, here he goes right here.
Yeah, this is his backup last week, Wilson.
That's right. He was awesome. I picked him up on a waiver wire.
Smart.
Yeah,
smart.
He paid dividends for me, so that was good.
So Jacobs was questionable to play this last game, and they knew that they had such a short week. Right. They were saving him for this big division game against the Lions.
So he is going to be back, right? Yeah, I think he is playing Jacobs for Green Bay. So I'm going to be dropping the backup and picking up someone else this week. Interestingly, while both of these teams have seemingly amazing running games, defensively they're actually really similar and really solid. Listen to some of these stats. The rushing defense for both teams is elite. Green Bay has given up a little over 1,000 yards this season to running backs, and Detroit a little over 1,100. Both are top 10 in the NFL.
Okay.
Yards per carry, Green Bay 3.9 on the defensive side, have given up 3.9 yards per carry. Detroit identical, and that's 5th best in the NFL.
Okay.
And then points to fantasy running backs, Green Bay gives up about 13, Detroit only 11, and that's 3rd best in the NFL. So both of these defenses are elite at stopping the run. So my thought on this is say these running games can't get established because of the 2 elite defenses. Then they have to resort to their passing attack, right?
Yep.
And when I look at both passing attacks, I truly feel like Detroit's is better than Green Bay's.
It's different tiers.
Different tiers, right? Yep. Like Detroit is the upper echelon, and Green Bay is a tier below.
Yep.
It's a little unpredictable. There's something about Jordan Love in the last 2 years that just doesn't always click. There's something off, and maybe it's his receivers. Maybe they just aren't. We talked about this last week. Maybe they're just not elite receivers.
Well, and they also,
I don't know.
They also lost their tight end for the season, who was their leading pass catcher, and it just seems like they were cycling through wide receivers every week. You don't know who's playing. It's kind of like an NBA game.
Right.
It's like who's playing for Green Bay this week?
Exactly. Who's going to sit and rest, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I do have concerns for Green Bay going to Detroit in an away stadium, right? On turf with the weapons that the Lions have in their passing attack. So my thought is here, not only that, but I also feel like this is somewhat of a revenge game for the Lions.
Yes.
They opened up the season playing in Green Bay, and Green Bay torched them. It was right after the big Micah Parsons trade.
Yeah, they had a lot of hype.
They really did. There was a lot of momentum, and Detroit just got spanked.
Well, the other thing I wrote down about that, the Detroit Lions did not play any of their stars in any preseason game. So that was their first game of action.
Well, look at that.
Maybe they looked a little rusty.
That's really good.
Kind of misleading of how they actually match up against the Packers.
Yeah, that's a great find too. So with all of that said, I like the Lions a lot here. I liked them when it was -3. I love it when it's -2.5.
Yes.
I don't see why you wouldn't jump on just the -2.5 right there. I also like Goff in this game, the Lions quarterback. Provided that the running games get shut down, I think you can conservatively put Goff at 210 yards passing, which is way below his average.
And when he throws to this guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, good things happen.
Exactly, yeah. Goff has thrown a touchdown pass in every single game this season. There hasn't been one game where he has been shut out. And I don't see him getting shut out in this one either, especially if the running games get kind of contained a little bit. So I'm going to do Lions -2.5. I'm going to do Goff 210 yards passing and 1 touchdown. That's it. So that's a really conservative numbers on Goff, and that's a +160. So it's not a monster +350 like you'd find with Goldberg when he lists 6 different legs to his parlay. But again, I just want to win.
Yeah.
And I think that was the strategy I took last week. It paid off.
It helped a lot.
I'm going to do it again. So that's my bet, +160 for that one.
So I like the Lions -2.5 as well. Similar to you, I kind of think Detroit, their offense is a little bit above Green Bay.
Yes, agreed.
So I don't know if I like the over for the game, but I definitely like the Lions team total.
I like
over 23.5.
Oh,
which
that's good.
You got to slide down just a little bit, so it's like minus 140-ish.
Yes.
But I'm okay to pay that.
That seems really good, too. So it's 23.5?
23.5.
So they just need 24 points.
Yeah.
And that bet cashes, and it's minus 140-ish?
Like 140-ish.
Yeah, so you put up 10, you might get back around 8 or so.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
And
that's great.
And they're 8-3 on the season,
okay.
Scoring over 24 points or more. So I feel like that's a safe. Yeah.
All right, I like that a lot.
Yep, we'll take it.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the next one. It's the Cowboys.
Ooh.
My Cowboys.
The comeback Cowboys.
Oh, man.
What a thrill that must have been.
It was, if you could have been in my living room from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, like my family was, and my cat, we were all sitting around on the couch. I'm watching the game. My wife is doing something on her computer. My kids are doing something on their phones, and my cat's just sleeping. And the roller coaster of emotions,
I was gonna say, there must have been several different phases of this game.
I dropped a lot of profanity in a good way and bad way, like both. It was wild. So they saw a side of me that they don't often see because the Cowboys don't often get big wins like that one. Anyway, they're the middle game on Thursday.
Okay.
So, it'll be, I don't even know what time that is, 3 o'clock, 3:30? I think it's 3:30.
So depending on what time you eat, you might be a good nap game. It could be like get ready to eat game.
I may need to a little pick-me-up to keep me awake after our Thanksgiving meal. But they're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And Kansas City is a 3.5-point road favorite down in Big D in Dallas. Look at this over-under, Isaac. 52.5. I mean, that is bonkers high. That might be the highest over-under I've seen this year, or close to it.
It's up there, and it's up there too for like Thanksgiving games. Like they usually don't go that high with two good offenses like that.
So, look, last week it was a huge win for the Dallas Cowboys. However, I'm actually so angry with the Dallas Cowboys right now. Like, I should be on cloud 9, feeling really good about my team, feeling really good about how they looked, especially in that second half.
So what's the issue?
Here's the issue, Isaac. I'm so pissed at the Cowboys management, and Jerry Jones especially, because of this reason. Instead of working things out with Micah Parsons, they decided to draw a line in the sand and
no ifs, ands, or buts.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah. Not work on a compromise with him or anything like that.
Yeah.
They trade him, okay? Did they atone for that trade and go out and get 2 key pieces to that defense? Yes, they did.
They did.
At the trade deadline, though.
That's right. The Jets, Quentin Williams. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's been an amazing force for that defensive line since he arrived 2 games ago.
But the season's already halfway done.
But the season's already freaking over. And now, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're going to come up just short again of making the playoffs. I guarantee you the Cowboys do not make the playoffs. And they should have made the playoffs.
Did you write to Jerry Jones? Did you?
It's pointless.
He's not going to listen anyway.
It's not like writing to Santa Claus where he gives you a reply and he leaves good stuff under the tree. Like Jerry Jones won't even reply.
No.
I mean, Santa Claus is real. Jerry Jones is fake. So
he actually might take away more players.
I think he is like Scrooge. He's the Grinch. He's Scrooge. My gosh. Anyway, that's my little rant about my Dallas Cowboys.
You're entitled to that. You're a fan.
I think I am.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are surprisingly not in the playoffs right now.
No.
They do not own I think they're in a tie-break situation with Houston.
And then
Houston is in there.
Jacksonville's kind of up in there too. It's like
right now, if the season ended, the Kansas City Chiefs would not be in the playoffs. So this is a monster game for Kansas City. They had a huge win last week at home against the Indianapolis Colts, who many are picking to win the AFC. I am not one of them.
No, me neither.
I am not. I don't trust their quarterback situation. But the Chiefs are in must-win game situation, as well as the Cowboys. The interesting thing is the Chiefs are terrible on the road. They are 1-4 on the road. Now, granted, one of them was an away game in Brazil.
Yes.
The opening season game against the Chargers. So that doesn't really count.
Well, and if you look at the Chiefs' schedule this year, they play a lot of those Thursday games. I think they play a Friday game or a Saturday game somewhere in there too. It's like they're
tough.
the team people want to see.
They do.
They get put in these spots that are a little tougher than what most teams are used to.
Yeah. I do really love what I saw from the Cowboys in that second half. There may have been a shift in that team's vibe, overall vibe. I think they got a taste of success. They got a taste of efficiency. They got a taste of winning. Against
a team that's like bullied that entire division the last couple years.
100%. And who's arguably the best team in the NFC. And likely will go make a deep playoff run. So I really love what I saw in that second half. And I think that's going to play a role in this game too. For starters, that over-under of 52.5 seems really high to me. And I remember earlier in the season, there was a little cheat code that I threw out to people.
Oh, that's right.
The 24.5 first half over-under. If you go under, it hits the majority of the time. The over-under in the first half of this game is 26.5. So it's even higher than that 24.5 number. So
is that an automatic play for you?
It is an automatic play for me. I'm going to go under on that. And it actually pays plus money. It's plus 100, which I was shocked. Usually these are like minus 120 or minus 110.
Yeah, they have quite a range on them.
They do, but this one happens to be plus 100. So I like that a lot. I liked what I saw out of the Cowboys defense. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is also very, very solid. And these two, like Kansas City was really slow to get out of the gate last week. The Cowboys were really slow to get out of the gate last week. So this could be one of those lower scoring first halves for me, at least. That's what I'm thinking.
And you say that. It's actually not just last week. Like the Cowboys and Chiefs this year have had really tough starts in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So they really turn it on as the game goes on. So maybe
even the first quarter.
The first quarter was 10.5.
Is that what it is? Did you look it up?
I looked at that, and it just. I'm afraid of like the Cowboys. They're such a lethal offense, and the Chiefs are.
And they also have the propensity to give up big, huge chunk plays. Like you could easily see like Xavier Worthy going for an 80-yard bomb.
Yes.
On the first play of the game, and then you're like, oh Jesus, the game's over.
In a 15-minute thing, it's like, I don't know if
that's
I like
a little
that.
Scary, right? Yep. But over time, maybe the law of averages kind of wins it out. So look at that first quarter. Look at the first half over under. I also, this line at 3.5, I don't feel comfortable. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win this game somehow, some way, because the Cowboys.
It's what they do.
They just love tragedy. It's like they're like Shakespeare. I don't know. It's just
what goes up must come down, right?
Yeah. But 3.5, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually like the Cowboys getting those 3.5 points. Somehow I think they're going to lose, tragically by like a safety or something.
Okay, so that would cover you.
So those are my two bets. First half under 26.5 pays plus 100, and then the Cowboys getting the 3.5 points. Not money line. They're going to lose somehow, but 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like the Chiefs minus 3.5.
Minus 3.5. All right.
Just
this will
because
be interesting.
I mean, they both had these comeback wins, but on short rest, Mahomes 19-3 in his career, so he doesn't seem to be fazed by playing on that short week.
That's a good point, and I'll add one more little stat to you.
Sure.
I watched the entire Cowboys game last week. Their pass rush, when they just rush their 4-down linemen, their defensive line, and don't aid it with safety blitzes or corner blitzes, it's non-existent. Like they could stop the run well, but they don't get to the quarterback. So for some reason, I feel like they need to blitz. They need to blitz to slow down Mahomes. But
he's dangerous when he has a lot of time because he just kind of dances around and looking.
Exactly. And Mahomes is really good against pressure. He ranks 3rd in the NFL for quarterback pressures. Okay. So I think, he's obviously proven it through the years. He's cool, calm, and collected under any kind of pressure. And the only way the Cowboys get pressure is by blitzing, and that leaves one-on-one coverage, and that could play into your point that Mahomes could be pretty good.
All things considered, the Cowboys still have some work to do to get back in the playoff picture. But if you told me they went 1-1 versus the Eagles and the Chiefs, I think you'd take that.
I would. The problem is they need to go 2-0.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They got to really accelerate.
Yeah, they are out of a playoff hunt by several games, so they need to get their butts moving.
Let's go.
All right, on to the next one. We have another division battle in the nightcap. The Ravens are 7-point favorites against the Bengals. But quarterback Joe Burrow is back for Cincinnati this week. There were some rumors that he was going to come back last week against the Pats, but I think they were eyeing this Baltimore Ravens game on Thanksgiving, and being a division game, it's key. Cincy actually has 2 games with Baltimore still left on the schedule.
Yes,
and you'd think that Cincy would be out of the. They're 3-8, 3-7,
something like that.
I think they only have 3 wins. You'd think that they'd be out of the playoffs, like mathematically eliminated already. They're actually not. And with 2 games against Baltimore left on the schedule, they're only, and Baltimore's only got 6 wins. They're only a couple of games behind them. Like, they could actually get back into this with a big win this week.
And maybe they play like the Browns or something one more time.
Sure.
And it's like they got another win just sitting there in front of them.
Yeah. So,
by the way, the Ravens, when they had just, I think, 1 win, they were still pretty close to favorites to win the division, even though the Steelers had gotten off to that hard start, and they've kind of lived up to that. They haven't looked great.
They haven't.
But they've gotten by, done the bare minimum to win. And
well, they've won 6 in a row, I think, since
Lamar came back.
Lamar came back, yeah. I'm trying to think. I have it somewhere in my notes. They've won 5 games in a row since Lamar came back. 5 games in a row. So, that's a pretty tall tale for the Bengals. Look, they get Joe Burrow back. They actually looked pretty good in the running game last week against the Patriots.
Yes.
It was the first 100-yard rusher that the Pats had given up this year to Chase Brown. So, that says something to me that they've got something there in their running game. If they can put up 100, a C note on the Pats' awesome running defense. And then you get Joe Burrow back, and that opens up a whole new game plan.
And you get Jamar Chase back, who
Jamar Chase, who's
the spit heard around the world.
The spit heard around the world. I love that.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, though, I just read this morning, it doesn't sound like T. Higgins is going to play. He's got a concussion, and he's not going to clear protocol in time. So it's a Jamar Chase show, and he's back with his boy.
His LSU boy.
His LSU boy. So I think that you got to put some money here on the Bengals. So this is what I did.
All right.
I actually think the Bengals getting the 7 points. I think they can cover it, or not cover it. I don't think the Ravens will be able to cover the 7. I think this is going to be actually a lot closer than we think. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals win this game. I'm not picking the Bengals money line, but I'll take the 7 points.
Okay.
And I also like Jamar Chase. This is going to be a very conservative bet. Jamar Chase, he's going to be their only receiver, right? T. Higgins is out. Give me 60 yards. That's it for Jamar Chase. Chase Brown, who went for over 100 yards last week against the Patriots, give me 60 yards rushing from Chase Brown, and just 3 receptions. That's it. He plays a key role in that passing game.
Yes, he does.
So, and with T. Higgins out, he probably gets a few more targets. So that right there, that bet of 60 yards for Jamar Chase, 60 yards for Chase Brown, and 3 receptions for Chase Brown is plus 108. It's plus money. So I'm going to do that, and I also like the other bet of Bengals getting 7 points.
Okay. I also think the spread's a little too big, but I'm kind of staying away on that. I just want to see how Joe Burrow looks coming back from the injury.
Okay.
So I really went into a rabbit hole for this one.
Oh boy, here we go, guys.
So we have.
What do you got?
It's I wouldn't call it advanced analytics, but just stats that they happen to
track.
Like
Moneyball.
And I'm glad they don't track these kind of stats for us.
Okay.
Like how long it takes for you to get to the desk, to the green
screen.
Oh boy,
all
really? That stuff. How many times I type words in a sentence?
Sure.
So, punts forced per game.
Whoa.
So the Bengals are one of the worst teams at getting teams to punt the ball.
Okay.
So that means their defense is bad, obviously.
Defense sucks.
So they're one of the bottom 2. So that, to me, means longer drives for the Ravens.
They're the worst defense in the NFL. They give up 415 yards a game. Worst.
So longer drives for the Ravens.
Yep.
And as the year goes on, Derrick Henry gets stronger. So for me, it's going to be a carries bet for Derrick Henry.
Okay, I like that.
Over 17.5. And by the way, he's gone over that total the last 6 games.
Seriously?
So.
All right, I'm writing that one down.
All right, write that down.
Henry carries.
17.5.
17.5. I'm putting that bet in right after this show.
All right.
That sounds.
Dial it in.
I love that. Because I actually had Derrick Henry on here that I was going to put a bet in on, but then I was just like, you know what? I got enough here. I got 2 other bets, so I'll stay away from that one.
To me, it doesn't also seem like Lamar is running too wild in these games either.
Right.
He's probably saving his body for
the
later in
playoffs.
the season.
Well, there's been knock on him, well, not knock on him, but just knock on the franchise as a whole. Like, he's dinged up in the playoffs, and maybe that's the reason why he hasn't gotten to the promised land yet.
Yep.
You know, so they probably are. You know,
lean
there is
on the guy that
strategy
brought us
behind
here.
that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. Now we're skipping all the way ahead to Monday night, where the Patriots are at home and more than a touchdown favorite against the Giants. A win by New England would bump the win streak up to 10 games, which is a key number because I gave Goldberg all kinds of crap for saying out loud that he thinks the Patriots could win 10 games. I'm going to eat crow on that. I know it. So yes, the spread is 7.5. The Patriots are given 7.5 points. Over under 46.5. Giants just played the Lions pretty tough. It took a miraculous feat in the fourth quarter for the Lions to come back on the Giants at home, by the way.
Yes.
And get that game to overtime where they finally
and the Giants
prevailed.
had like 2 really good trick plays. This
Look
is
at
one
this.
of them.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we have is Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston, right?
Making a defender miss.
So I haven't seen this one. Is this it right here?
Yes.
I haven't seen the Jameis Winston touchdown.
Oh, no,
yet.
it's the next one.
It's the next one.
So, anyway, they had to do all this stuff
Yeah.
to score against Detroit. A really exciting game.
Yeah.
But they might get Jackson Dart back.
They are.
And so,
They are. It sounds like they are getting Jackson.
Yeah,
back.
this
It's
is-
not going to. Oh, this is it right here, huh? There
Yeah.
goes Winston down the sideline. He's open. Get it. Oh wow, that defender's stuck. Come on, he didn't do that. Oh, that's so sad. That linebacker looked horrible.
And he knew right where the camera was too.
Oh my God. Oh, that poor linebacker. I feel terrible for him. Oh well. Anyway, and Jackson Dart, he's been concussed a couple of times. There's really a lot of concern about his longevity. And when he got concussed this last time, there was talk about how they alter his way of playing.
Yep.
Because he's a hard-nosed, he likes to run the ball, but he's kind of a little guy. He's not a huge quarterback. He's a smaller quarterback. It's not like Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, right?
Well,
he's a smaller guy.
And I think the Patriots have had similar conversations
Yes.
with Drake May. It's like you cannot be getting these free shots to the other team.
Right, exactly.
Be smart with when you run. Go down, go out of bounds if you can.
He has potential to be a franchise quarterback for them.
Yes.
And they want to preserve that, and they want to preserve his health. So, so Jackson Dart is not, I don't think is going to be as what's the word, like dangerous.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be more of a pocket passer in this game, which only helps the Pats because I don't think that's his strong suit yet.
So a lot of these props aren't out yet because
they aren't. That's the other problem.
So
Yeah.
I would lean to whenever it does come out the under on his rush yards.
Okay.
Because they've had
Yes.
games where he's rushed for a couple touchdowns,
Yeah.
a couple of chunk plays. I think he's going to be more conservative.
So I think we should make that bet, like the under on Jackson Dart's rushing yards. I think that's a great call, just because of that scuttlebutt that we heard a few weeks ago, and that observation right there that you just made. I like a lot. On the Patriots side of the ball, their offensive line is now a huge liability because of those injuries that took place in that Cincinnati Bengals game. They're probably down 2 linemen, 2 of their strongest
Very
offensive
likely.
linemen.
On the same side.
On the same side of the ball. So all of a sudden, the very healthy New England Patriots are not so healthy. And this concerns me a lot in this one. Look, Drake May is a cheat code. I mean, Goldie says it every week. That pass was just pathetic right there. Just Joe Flacco, what are you doing? Come on. Drake May, Goldie says it every week. Cheat code. Put him up for like 220 and 1 touchdown. Right now, the 220 yards passing is there on DraftKings, and it's minus 208. The touchdown passes are not there as a prop bet yet.
Okay.
But if you just go 1 touchdown pass or more, like just say 1+ touchdown pass, that's probably close to almost even money. It's probably a little bit less. It's probably like minus 105 or something like that,
I'm
or minus
okay with
100.
that.
But I'm totally okay with that too.
Yeah.
Like, let's just win the bet, and we'll worry about these monster things later on. So that's one bet I like.
Okay.
May 220 yards and then 1 touchdown, and it's probably going to be right around minus 100. Also, because of what we just talked about with that offensive line, I would be concerned about sacks, and I don't know. Last year, I haven't looked this year. Last year, sacks was a defensive prop bet that you could make.
Yes, you still can.
You can. So that prop bet is not available yet on DraftKings. But the Patriots give up the 6th most sacks in the NFL, and that was before they lost 2 of their starting offensive linemen. I would do some sort of sacks bet here, maybe the over on sacks for the New York Giants.
For the Giants, yeah.
For the Giants. I don't know what that number is. Maybe it's 1.5.
We're just spitballing here,
I'm
right?
spitballing, right. Like, it may not be available at all, but if there's a New York Giants sacks over-under prop bet, do it and go over because of those injuries and because the Pats already gave up the 6th most sacks in the NFL.
So because of those lineman injuries, the bet I was kind of leaning towards, which also isn't up yet, maybe it's a Travion Henderson rush receiving yards combo kind of game.
Yeah.
Because if they do pass, I feel like it's going to be very quick, maybe more screen passes.
Like he's not going to have enough time in the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So he's going to just chuck
He's got to
it quick,
release quicker.
Maybe not go down the field for his receivers because he's a great deep ball thrower.
Sure,
May.
but he might not have the time.
Yeah.
I like that logic. It makes perfect sense. Let's use what we know, the injuries to that offensive line, and apply it to betting.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it right there.
Or maybe a catches bet for Travion Henderson.
For Travion, yeah. Nice job, Isaac.
Yeah.
That's good observation. All right, Goldie's not here, but we are still going to do the Monster Mash.
Oh, let's hear it.
And suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the Monster Mash.
the monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash.
Used to be a Halloween song for me.
I
Now
know.
I love it year round.
I know, it's great.
He did the Monster Mash. From my laboratory
All right, let's
in the
see,
castle.
Let's get to it.
Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, so the Monster Tees won again last week. Just like the Patriots, the Monster record this year is 10-2 on the season. Lee, obviously not here, but he did send in his Monster Tees. So here it is. He's got the Seahawks, which are minus 10.5 at home against the Minnesota Vikings. You shift that 13 points, and it becomes plus 2.5. So almost getting a field goal for the Seahawks at home in Seattle. Next in here, we've got the Chargers, who are a 10-point favorite at home against the Raiders. That becomes plus 3, so they actually get a full field goal. I also like that one and feel very comfortable with that one. Then we've got Denver, Washington. Denver is on the road in Washington, and they're 6.5-point favorites. You tack on 13 points to that, they become 6.5-point dogs. That does make me nervous a little bit. There is speculation that Washington QB
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels is practicing this week. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I don't think he will.
I saw a report that it's not looking like he's going to play.
Okay.
So I feel pretty good about the Broncos' defense.
I do too. I just don't like a road game. So I don't know. Look, they're getting 6.5. They're probably going to win.
So we can pin it squarely on Goldie if they lose. If it doesn't
Yes.
get your full stamp of
I'm
approval.
not putting my, normally I put X amount of dollars on Goldie's monster bets.
Yeah.
This week I'm going to do X minus Y amount of dollars.
Okay.
And put it on this bet.
All right.
It just makes me a little nervous that he has a random road team in here. He never does that.
Not his style usually.
It's not his style at all. He always takes home teams, including the fourth one, the Patriots, who are minus 7.5. We just talked about against the Giants at home. That becomes plus 5.5.
But with all of those, they could all lose, but your bet could still win. So they're all plus money now.
They could all those teams could, yes, physically lose the game, but still
win the
you
bet.
win the bet because they're all plus money.
Yep.
Very true. Very
Yep.
true. All right. Okay. Normally we do college football at this part of the show, but it might be in your best interest this week to enjoy the big rivalry matchups.
So that's my strategy. It's like there's so many good games in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
A lot of teams are still alive. I love betting on college football. I'm just gonna sit back
and watch
this week. Yeah.
and enjoy. Yeah, I like that call too. I think we're going to take a step back. I mean, there's some huge games going on. Michigan, Ohio State, right?
Yes, and Ohio State's lost 4 in a row to Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, and Michigan is playing for a BCS playoff bid. They lose this game, they're 100% out. If Ohio State loses, they're still probably in, I would assume. And then you got a big Egg Bowl
Yep.
Mississippi State, Mississippi.
Not even necessarily the game. Like,
Right.
where's the coach?
Where's the coach going? I'm not telling you where I'm going until after the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What a
That's
mess.
Kiffin,
What a
right?
mess. Yeah,
Is that-
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk some soccer. Our Premier League guru, Will Nash, is heating up again. Here are his picks for the match of the week.
Hi Lee, hi Todd. After the request of more picturesque locations, I rode up this great big old hill in South London so I can show you this nice view of downtown London on a pretty wet London day. Anyway, back to the football. Big win for Arsenal this weekend, more than I expected, but a phenomenal performance. Top two play this weekend with Arsenal at home again hosting Chelsea. I think it's going to be another win for Arsenal. I think probably both teams are going to score again. Chelsea have a pretty dodgy disciplinary record this season, with I think 5 sending offs in all competitions. So I think they could get another one in this game with a red card for Chelsea. But if you can't get odds for that, I'd maybe add in a goal involvement for Leandro Trossard for Arsenal. So either a goal or an assist. All right, have fun.
Okay.
So we're making red card bets and
Red card bet. Will on his morning jog.
great view though.
Awesome
Great view. We love it.
I got to go back I went to London back in February for the first time ever that I've been in like continental Europe. And didn't hit South London where that looked like a beautiful
that's a great spot. Yeah.
We gotta go again. There's so much to see in London. You've got a little tidbit on this Arsenal
yeah,
game, right?
Will has been onto something with Arsenal this year.
Okay.
Like it seems like it's their title to lose.
All right.
And Liverpool has completely fallen off.
Yeah.
Manchester City,
Man City,
hot and cold.
Yeah, their defense still is not shored up. So.
And Chelsea, you don't know what to expect week to week. So if they end up going on to win the title this year,
Okay.
it's the first title they've won in 21 years.
Whoa.
And that team had a nickname. They were called the Invincibles.
Oh, wow.
They did not lose a single game in the Premier League.
Shut up.
So they either won or they tied
Okay.
for all 38 games.
Wow,
so
they never had a loss.
it could be history, and it could be
Interesting.
next to some pretty good company for Arsenal if they keep this pace going.
All right, that's a good stat
Yep.
right there. All right, by the way, we have a lot of fun while talking about gambling, but for some people, it is the opposite. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, there's help. You can contact the confidential helpline at 211 or visit 211main.org for information and resources. Both the helpline and the website are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, anyway, that's our show. Isaac, it was great playing with you again.
it was fun.
I think we're doing this next week too. Is
I
that
think so.
correct?
Yeah, back to back.
Lee's on vacation, so back
Yeah.
to back. Isaac Lukin. All right, folks, go make some money. Have
Yes.
a great Thanksgiving too. We'll see you next time.